Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, when I turned 18, I was on a baseball team, and I went to the big city, went to Minneapolis. Might have been my first time in Minneapolis, actually. And I remember I was still fast enough that I played outfield because I could run and catch up to some fly balls. And there was two fellas out in the outfield that were getting into a heck of a fight. One was this big giant of a fella, and the other was sort of a little feller. And the two of them were getting in a big fight. And the one big guy was yelling obscenities at the little guy and knocked the little guy down. And finally, I worked up the courage to say to the big guy just to knock it off, stop what you're doing. And he ignored me and told me to go do something with myself. And then he picked up a stick and he started to wail on the little guy. And when he picked up the stick and he started to wail on this little fella, he fell on the ground. He started to get welts on his arms as he tried to protect himself. And I got closer and told him he had to stop doing that. And all this time, my ball team mates were back behind me telling me, don't get involved. We're not from around here. Don't get involved. Stay out of it. It's not your fight. And I kept getting closer, and I finally got to about, from me to Representative Lilly here, and the big fellow with the stick turned towards me and told me to get lost, in no uncertain terms, and started to walk towards me with the stick. And I stood my ground, and I was scared like I can't even begin to tell you. And all of a sudden, that big guy with the stick dropped the stick, told me to go do something to myself, and he ran away. Now, at 18, I'm thinking to myself, darn right. And the guy, I swear to you, 6'5", 6'6", huge guy, ran away from me. And I'm thinking, you're darn right. That's, you know, all of 145 pounds dripping wet. He's running away from me. I had done the right thing. And all this time, the fellows behind me had been saying, don't get involved. I turned back around, and I had every member of my ball team was standing behind me. Not just them, but every member of the other ball team was standing behind me as well. And Representative Wardlow, I think the difference between you and I, at least with respect to this bill, is that when I come to the defense of the little guy, you'd be coming to the defense of the guy with the stick. That's what this bill does. It absolutely does exactly that. And what Representative Simon pointed out was that this is about a group that supports some lawsuit reform. They support lawsuit reform, and all you got to do is look at, thank you, Representative Wardlow, for passing this out, by the way. This is a great list. Members, do you see a single group that supports consumer protection? And we could go through them if you want. You did a nice job reading there, Representative Wardlow. There's a lot of nice groups on there, but not a single group that supports consumer protection. Not a single group that supports homeowner protections. Remember Representative Swales talking about all those folks in Woodbury that had the mold claims and what a difficult time they had pursuing those claims? I don't see them on the list. The folks that have been ripped off. And all you got to do is pick up the newspaper. A couple times a week, you'll see somebody that's been ripped off, whether it's for $1 or $50 or $100, some little old lady that's been taken advantage through a securities fraud or through an investment scheme. You don't see any folks like that on this list. That's what Representative Simon's amendment is about. If you think it's important to come to the aid of the little guy, then support this amendment. If you want to come to the aid of the person with the stick, then vote no.